Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Future Tech podcast series. It's me, Charlie Sell, the Group MD of Arrows Group, where I interview thought leaders, senior level people, anyone involved in helping support our graduate community in finding new employment, finding their first jobs, or actually just learning about what a career looks like. And I'm really pleased to have Jo O'Reilly with me on the show today. And this is quite a special podcast because Jo is the mum of Charlotte, who works in our team, who is super passionate about students and education and how to help students go and fulfill their potential. And she works for Herts for Learning, a consultancy, a services business, predominantly for Hertfordshire, but beyond, where she works with young people. And there's going to be some really interesting facts. We've spoken quite a bit over the last couple of days, and the energy and passion you're going to see for yourself is quite intoxicating, I should say. So without further ado, Jo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you for inviting me, and hello to everybody. It's great to be a part of this. As I said to Charlie, rein me in if I go off on a tangent. That is what I quite often do. I do get quite excited about my topic or my passion for supporting young people.
Yeah, and fantastic, and like I said, I think you and I we've already had a couple of really lovely conversations, haven't we? Where the passion sort of comes
Yeah.
through. So let's dive straight in and just find out a bit more about what you actually do supporting young people, and a bit more about
Mhm.
your thoughts on how how we can help young people.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to take it back a bit. When I was at school, music was my passion. That's what I loved doing, drama. I'm going to come back to that because some of that's been relevant in what I do now and what I've been able to do, and sort of those skills and things that I learned at an early age or things that I loved doing. So I went off to do music. I did media studies as well, but then wasn't quite sure. Started a career after my degree in retail and became a retail manager at John Lewis. And I actually ended up working there for many years, lots of different roles. And as I developed my skills and my knowledge of the business, I realised that one of the things that I really was passionate about and enjoyed doing was mentoring, supporting, helping other people develop. Um, that kind of led to, I was very much somebody who is, oh yeah, count me in, I'll do that, I'll give that a go. And that led to a volunteering opportunity with education charity called Young Enterprise. And we'd go out to primary schools and help deliver programs about community, the world, all sorts of things, introducing tax and what that pays for at an early age. Got more involved with it, absolutely loved what they were doing. And then a position came up. I was approached about it, and I went for that. And then, about 6 years ago, did a complete career change and ended up being area manager for Young Enterprise. Now, I realised then, I'd been at John Lewis for so long, that I did actually have a lot of skills, transferable skills. You'll probably hear that a lot,
Yeah.
that I was able to take. Also, the role involved fundraising, networking. Didn't know I could do networking, but apparently I'm quite good at talking to people. I'm also quite good at asking for money, so fundraising was part of it, or a free venue for events or volunteers or time, whatever. Met some amazing people along the way, great opportunities. And I've gone off track, so I can't remember what my point was. So Young Enterprise, um, that was me for the next few years. Really loved the opportunities, worked with primary, secondary, university students, a whole wealth of volunteers. So transferable skills, that was the thing.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, that I realised I had learnt so much at John Lewis. I'm a real advocate from learning from others
Yeah.
what you like about them, and maybe sometimes what you don't like, the sort of leader or inspirer that you don't want to be.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot.
That's brilliant.
I've also learned that, any business a real diversity of people. I've got my strengths and weaknesses, and hopefully there's a complement within the teams, within the people that I'm working with.
And that's such a brilliant point, because, like you said, the transferable skills. I couldn't agree with you
Yeah.
more. How a lot of the time, when we speak to young people, and people get too fixated about worrying about the short term skills gap, where actually,
Mm,
if you invest and you keep continuously learning, what you learn from one
mm,
job, even from education, you can transfer that
absolutely.
into a skill set
Yeah.
for other employers, can't
Yeah. So sometimes it's taking the time out just to sort of sit back and recognize, what you've done, what you've
you?
achieved,
Yeah.
what you've learned. One of the greatest things that came out along the way is resilience. And, with the pandemic, especially, our young people today have learned so much
Yeah.
resilience. And if you can bounce back and think, well, that didn't go quite to plan, but what have I learned from that? How am I going to take it forward?
Yeah.
So moving then from young enterprise, another opportunity came my way, and this kind of links in with what I would say about communication, networking. And by networking, I don't mean going out to meetings all the time, just showing an interest in people around you. So, how we came to be connected.
Yeah.
Charlotte talked about me. You sort of said, oh, let me follow that up. And here we are now. And I've managed to introduce you now to a few
Yeah.
other people that are interested or would be useful for these podcasts. So my opportunity with Hearts for Learning came about with a school that I needed to get funding for to run a program, all about skills development, writing CVs, interview skills.
Fantastic.
My volunteers were a network of volunteers I'd been building, and through that, another opportunity came my way. I've got a position that's come up that you might be interested in. And I thought, oh, I don't know if there's anything I can be as passionate about as young enterprise. But lo and behold, here I am, account manager now at Hearts for Learning. Um, we do support for schools within Hearts and beyond, be it from the school services to the teaching and learning to the governance team, whole variety. And I'm one of the account managers to hopefully pull all those elements together
Yeah.
for the schools and get the right support in place for them.
And that's lovely, because so you're living proof also of the ability to almost career change. At John Lewis for a long
Yeah,
time, and did many
yeah,
different roles, and then being able to, as we said earlier, transfer that, and
yeah.
now your second or third role within really looking at students and supporting
Mm,
them. And so,
mm,
thinking about students, and obviously that's our podcast is aimed at very much students who are going through their journey, and I loved your point
yeah,
about resilience, because I think although COVID has impacted everyone, my
yeah.
heart really does go out to those who are studying
Mm,
their A levels and going into university, or first years of
mm,
university, where actually they've almost had 2 years now of
mm.
um, upheaval. Have you, thinking about advice you'd give them, or looking at what people can do, what advice would you give the students when helping them go through that journey and think about resilience and prepare?
I think, I mean, going from, a real early age, think about what your dreams, your aspirations are. What are your goals? And dreams, aspirations, they absolutely change.
Yeah.
And it's just thinking about, what am I doing now that will bring me a step closer? Has my dream changed? What makes me happy? What do I enjoy doing? One of the things we used to talk about at John Lewis, going back a few years, was soul and salary work. What we love doing, but sometimes there's the bits we've just sort of got to get on and do. They might take a bit of time. I've just got a real block with doing my timesheet each week that we need to do. But then I think, oh, that wasn't so bad. Done it now.
Yeah.
Um, so it's thinking about what makes you happy. We're in work a long time. I don't mean just in years, I mean of our day.
Yeah.
Who are we working with? What makes us happy? What can we do? Also, what are our skills? What are we good at? What do we need to develop? I've always thought that if you recognize maybe something you're not so good at or something that didn't go right, own up to it and just think, what can you learn from it?
Yeah.
If you're aware of something that's maybe not your strength, I think you're halfway there to solving it.
Yeah.
If you can speak about it and reach out for that help. Most of us are sort of people's person. We like that interacting. We like to be asked for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Say, actually, I really don't know what that means. Um, can you explain?
Yeah.
Someone usually will. So
Yeah.
do ask for help. Um, I think the other thing that I've learned is that life work balance. I had a few days holiday a little while ago, and I just felt I needed it, and that I would come back a better, more focused person. And it is important sometimes. Something might be happening at work, and it's just all consuming. And sometimes you just need to step away, be it going out for a breath of fresh air, or just doing something else, chatting to someone, tea break chat or whatever, and you come back just a little bit more balanced,
Yeah.
a little bit more focused about it. The other thing that I've learned along my way, I am quite a big advocate on that well-being, that mindfulness. Meditation is, I'd probably put it as one of my hobbies, but it's probably more part of my lifestyle now. Again, because during the pandemic, I did find I was just automatically reaching out to colleagues saying, you okay? Should we have a chat over a tea break? How are you doing? Need to call you just for a rant.
Yeah.
That happens, get it out of my system. And then on the back of that, my line manager said to me, we're training up a group of people to be mental health first aiders. I think you'd be ideal for it. Would you like to do that? So I just felt so fortunate that I had the
Yeah.
opportunity to do that. So I'm now a trained mental health first aider.
Well, and what a fantastic opportunity. What I love about that as well is people sometimes think mental health is either only an issue for a certain age group or a certain
Mm,
demographic, but actually it's
mm,
prevalent in all of us from school age through to
absolutely.
elderly. And so
Yeah.
what you've learned with mindfulness and meditation, is there any tips or is there any couple of nuggets there that students who are maybe starting to get stressed about exams coming up or
They're,
maybe
they're, everybody's different. It's not everyone's cup of tea. And sometimes it's just that someone asks you a question, or I'm not quite sure of the answer, might be in an interview. Just take a pause. It's just pausing. Just look out the window, focus on something. If you've got an important phone call to make and maybe you're getting a little bit anxious about it, totally understandable, to say, yeah, it's normal, or this has been going on for a while, perhaps I need to speak to someone. There are such a wealth of resources out there, but it's going with what you feel comfortable with. And again, mental health, we give it that title, but it's just your well-being. How are you
yeah,
doing
yeah,
inside as well as outside? How are you doing?
yeah,
And to ask each other and open up those conversations. And it's probably a whole different topic about that, but
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah, no,
okay. My mantra is it's okay to not be okay,
yeah.
and one
Um,
day at a time, one day
That's
at a
such a
time.
good point, isn't it? It is okay to not be
Mm,
okay.
yeah.
Again, for many of our listeners, so one of the things I've been most inspired about, your daughter Charlotte, we've mentioned her a couple of times, but she's hosted
Mm,
her own a few sessions for us at Arrows.
yeah.
And for
Yeah.
people to be able to speak up and actually talk about wellness, talk about well-being, and
Yeah.
it is okay to not be okay, but get a support network,
Mm.
because the challenge that you have, you can almost guarantee the minute you speak about it, half the room, if not more, as experiencing.
Oh, absolutely. And even if it doesn't have to be, a big, really not feeling
Yeah,
great, it might be, but it might just be a little. having a bit of a bad day.
Yeah, yeah,
Monday blues on a Friday. Who
yeah,
can I talk to? A
yeah,
friend, a colleague? Just what can I do to make myself feel a bit better?
yeah,
I'm being realistic about it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All of
and
those,
acknowledging it.
and I think that's the key one, isn't it? Acknowledging it, being able to acknowledge it
Yeah,
is a big starting point.
yeah, yeah.
And
And I know in my career, previous years, I've been got to do everything right, got to do this, got to be seen to do that. But it's okay to say, look, I'm not having the best day. I will bounce back, or I hope I will bounce
yeah,
back. Just give me a bit of space today.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And these are such skills that, because can you believe
Mm.
it? It's the time has flown with us, and our podcast
Oh,
is coming to a
oh
close.
my goodness.
But
Yeah.
everything we've covered today, and as I mentioned at the beginning, again for our listeners, that this is a pretty unique podcast following the series and I'm
Mm,
really happy we've actually been able to touch on things like well-being, wellness, mindfulness, as well as earlier on in the
mm,
conversation where, what I really loved about what you said there, Joe, is thinking about what makes us happy, asking for help, the life work
mm,
balance. These are traits and skills that again for us, for our graduate listeners, if you can
mm,
learn them now, whilst you're studying, whilst you're at school, they will go with you throughout
mm,
your entire career and life. And
mm,
in many ways, it's never too late to learn, but for many of us, we've been in a career already for 10, 15, 20 years, and now we're learning these coping strategies.
mm.
So hopefully there's a real
Yeah.
opportunity for our listeners to embrace it and make it part of their life at the beginning of their career.
Mm, mm. And I just hope that, hopefully something in what I've said helps somebody.
Yeah.
Can I just finish with one little story,
Please do, yes.
which is one of my other points about communication, speaking, networking. Some people find it difficult to be out there, but it's okay just to smile and to listen, to show an interest. A couple of years ago, I was supporting at something at the University of Hertfordshire, and it was kind of like a networking, almost helping students. This is what networking is about. Now, I spoke to many students that day, but one young lady really stood out. She came and spoke to me afterwards. She had my details. She was a film student. I was able to introduce her to one of my other volunteers, who's got his own film and TV company. Now, he would only take on people who were really serious about, you'd only offer work experience to those. He offered her work experience. She then got that work experience, and that then led her to be able to apply and get a job at Warner Brothers. So, what great networking that was.
What a brilliant anecdote to finish on, because that is such a good point. Yeah, love
Mm,
that. And yeah, networking can't start too soon either, can it really? You
mm,
start building those relationships from early days. So
yeah.
Joe, how lovely to have you on the show. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're
And
welcome.
as I say, it's lovely to be able to do these shows to break up the norm occasionally and to really focus on things that are so relevant to, as I said, not just
Mm,
our listeners, but to everyone, I think. So
mm.
to everyone, that's another episode of our Future Tech podcast series. The podcast is posted on our landing page, arrowspodcasts.com, and they're on the career portals of now 17 of our universities that we're signed up with, and on Spotify, Apple, and Google. So, a final time, a huge thank you to Joe.
You're welcome.
And to everyone, that's another episode of our Future Tech podcast series.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Future Tech with Charlie Sell, a podcast from Arrows Group Global. Please subscribe to this podcast so that you never miss an episode. Arrows Group is a global technology recruitment and workforce solutions provider who focus on people at the heart of all our interactions. With in-depth technology expertise and global candidate communities, we offer bespoke solutions to every client and candidate. To find out more, visit arrowsgroup.com.